Hello, welcome to a video that is not about Star Wars. What the hell? What am I doing? Why am I making this video? Well, I feel bad. I feel bad for not putting out regular videos, and so I'm going to throw one out here now very quickly to kind of piggyback onto a video that James and Ian have done, which is, I think Mike did it as well, Grey Knight in 51. Top 10 actors pre-1960. And I'm guessing, you know, they can have acted past 1960, but people who have been in films before the 1960s and your top 10 favourites. It was hard to whittle it down. There's probably a few I've forgotten about as well, but very briefly, as quickly as I can, here are the ones that I chose. Number 10, Peter Cushing. Grew up with him in Star Wars, so for the past 20 years of my life, all I've really known him as is Grand Moff Tarkin, and I guess kind of for 20 years I've been kind of in the back of my head saying, you know, I'll get to the rest of your films soon enough. But this year was the year I got to more Peter Cushing films from the late 50s, early 60s, some Hammer horror films. I just absolutely love him, particularly as Sherlock Holmes in The Hound of the Baskervilles. Awesome film. I just love Peter Cushing. He's just a fantastic actor. Just there's an element of class to him, but he can play really interesting characters that I've seen in the Hammer horror films, so he's definitely on that list for me, even though he did a lot of work past the 1960s into the 70s as well. Number 9, Alec Guinness, again, from Star Wars. Always knew him as Obi-Wan Kenobi, but a few years ago I watched a film called The Bridge on the River Kwai. One of the best films ever made in my opinion, and his performance is absolutely astounding. Like, I cried with happiness an hour into that film and I didn't know what the hell was going on with me. I was like, this is ridiculous. And his final moments of the film are just so powerful. I just love his character and the story in that film. He won the Oscar for it as well, rightfully so. But that's all I think that's the only two films I've ever seen Alec go out. He's obviously in the other two Star Wars films, but I really need to see more, like the the Ealing comedies, was it? You know, the film where he plays loads of different roles. I need to see, there's another one he's done. He did the original Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, although I think that was a TV movie. I'm not too sure the details on that, but I need to see more Alec Guinness. That's the only reason he's not closer to the top, but for me, his performance on Bridge on the River Kwai was amazing. Number 8, Yul Brynner, great actor. Again, I've only recently gotten into some of the films he's been in. The Magnificent Seven, he's brilliant, and he was such a great choice to be the lead in The Magnificent Seven. He's just awesome in that film. The whole cast is great, but he's brilliant in that too. And then also The Ten Commandments, which I watched a couple of months ago. He is fantastic as Ramesses in that film. As Ian was saying in his video, he really just commands himself well and has a really good kind of presence whenever he's on screen. Need to see more of his films. Number 7, Charles Farrell. Who, you're asking? Charles who? Charles Farrell. He was an actor during the silent era and then onwards. He's in such films as City Girl. A couple of films I'm going to be talking about that I watched in the Silent Movie Marathon too, so stay tuned for that. But all I'll say is he is a fantastic actor who was brilliant in the silent era through quite a few films that I've seen, and he always plays different kind of, it's not like he's a big character actor who plays like, you know, like really big, outlandish kind of different characters, like say Johnny Depp, you know, in these big genre movies. But he just plays men in different melodrama films with different twists that are just so believable. I just think he's a fantastic actor. He's got quite a range to him, and I'd love to see more of his films as well. Number 6, Charlton Heston, you know, just an absolute legend. I think Ben-Hur is one of the best films ever made. I saw that for the first time this year as well, along with The Ten Commandments. I much prefer Ben-Hur though, and his performance in that is just stellar. Yeah, Charlton Heston, you just can't go wrong with him really. Fantastic actor. Number 5, Buster Keaton. He's one of my favourite filmmakers, you know, actor, directors, whatever you want to call it. He's an absolute genius, a legend, and I can't put him like high on the list because I don't think he's like the best actor ever, but I do think he's a really good one and an underrated one. I'll leave that in, as always. I believe he's an underrated actor. You know, he can convey a lot without doing much with his face, which I think is really tricky. But yeah, I mean, I have to put him in there because he's just brilliant. It doesn't necessarily mean he's a fantastic dramatic actor, but just the things that he did on screen, I can't not put him on this list, basically. So I'm acknowledging that he's not the best kind of dramatic actor by any stretch. Number 4, Takashi Shimura. fantastic Japanese actor who's been in many films. Some of my favourites, like Ikiru, where he plays a man who has cancer and he's dealing with the end of his life. Fantastic film, so powerful. I think Criterion are coming out with that this year. The cover looks gorgeous. He is kind of the leader of the samurai in the Seven Samurai, which is, in my opinion, the best film ever made, and he is amazing in that film as Kanbai. Oh my god. He was in the original Godzilla. He's been in so many films that Akira Kurosawa directed, Drunken Angel. The list goes on and on. I'm probably forgetting some notable ones, in fact, but he is just, every film I see him in, he's just brilliant, and I'm just like, oh, a legend. And then number 3, Tetsuya Nakadai, another Japanese actor who's been in quite a few of Akira Kurosawa's films, like Ran from 1985, where he's amazing, and a couple of films in the 60s, Yojimbo and Sanjuro. But we're not quite talking about... Well, actually, hang on a second. Where's Harakiri? Let's see. Shameless use of my Masters of Cinema collection. When was this? Oh, man! I guess I can't really include him. Harakiri, he is amazing in this film, but it's 1962. So, I've probably screwed myself there. Because the other film that he's amazing in is The Human Condition, which came out... It's a big trilogy of films that came out from 1959 to 1961. So, I don't know, does that count as pre-1960s? Either way, Tetsuya Nakadai has given some of the best performances I've seen. Particularly Human Condition, Harakiri, just on another level, really. And he's great in other films in the 60s and so on. But I guess just to kind of, on the spot, throw someone else in there who really did work a lot during the before the 1960s, I'd throw in... Rudolf Klein-Rogge, German actor who was in many of Fritz Lang's films. He's in Metropolis, Die Nibelungen. He is Dr. Mabuse in the Dr. Mabuse films, the first 2 anyway. He's in Spies. He's a fantastic character actor who, you know, was pretty much the first mad scientist on screen. Great actor, and I considered putting him on the list, but he didn't quite make it. So I'll put him there. Probably wouldn't put him at number 3, but I'm working on the fly here because I just realised Tetsuya Nakadai mainly did his best work after the 60s, so there you go. Although I haven't seen anything that he's done like in the early 50s, it might be other stuff, I don't know. Number 2, Charlie Chaplin. I've never been a big Chaplin fan. I've watched some of his, well, I've watched all of his silent films now, I think, the feature ones. And I much prefer Buster Keaton. So why is he on this list? Because he's a much better actor than Buster Keaton. Buster Keaton didn't transition well into the talkies. You know, he did some good stuff, but from what I've seen, you know, he was best in the silent era. And people think that Charlie Chaplin was best in the silent era. I disagree. I think the films that I've seen Charlie Chaplin in post-silent films are better than his silent work. I mean, I know his personal life was very interesting and troubled, but what he did on screen, unbelievable. And if you want to hear more about that, a video that will be coming out this week is part 3 of my Epic Journey 2, where I go home and go and see David Gilmour live, that kind of stuff. I went to see a Buster Keaton film in the cinema. But yeah, in that video I talk about the film Limelight, which for me is another one of the films that I've seen recently that I would say is one of the best I've ever seen. And his performance in that is one of my favourites of all time, by far. And then you just look at his speech from the Great Dictator. The power behind that scene that still rings true today and resonates with people now, you know, all these years later, 70 years later. He's just one of the best actors of all time, in my opinion. I do love his silent films. I much prefer Buster Keaton's, but his work after the silent era, incredible. Number 1, it had to be Toshiro Mifune. Akira Kurosawa's muse in a way. He was in, I think, 17 of Kurosawa's films. The first one was Drunken Angel, which he's brilliant in, and again, this is a guy who has so much range. He can do anything. You know, he can play the stern, kind of just badass general samurai, or he can play an absolute, just like, literally Jar Jar Binks-like character in Seven Samurai and pull off one of the best characters in film history, Kikuchiyo. He's amazing in Seven Samurai. He's amazing in everything he does. And I've yet to see him give a bad performance in any film. And I've seen so many of his films, and there's still so many to go, which is great. I can't wait to watch more of his films. But, you know, Seven Samurai, there's films he did in the 60s that were great as well, but Seven Samurai was in the early 50s, and then he did other stuff with Kurosawa. So, yeah, Toshiro Mifune had to be on there. He just absolutely did. And for me, I'd say he's my second favourite actor of all time at this point. So that's my list. Let me know what yours are, if you have any. If you haven't seen Ian's video, James's video, go check them out. Go check out their channels and watch those videos. And that's about it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
So you might say he's a really nice guy, really, but if fucking don't cut shit with me. He says he's really cool, but I think he's a tool.